Victorian government has spent $100 million on trucks and pumpers. We're going to find out what a pumper is too, by the way. And in this next budget and the budget after, so they're going to spread that $100 million right across for 10 years. So what they're saying is they're going to give $10 million per year, and you can buy a couple of trucks and a pumper or two, and Bob's your uncle. And we'll find out more about Bob shortly from John Houston. Knows all about Bob. The Victorian government has announced an extra $100 million to replace the CFA's ageing tanker and pumper fleets, but failed to mention that the 2026-2027 budget allocation was to be distributed over 10 years. Clever accounting there. Emergency Services Minister Vicki announced the extra $10 million a year last week. Now, John Houston is CFA Volunteers President, and he joins us to explain and extrapolate if he doesn't fall over fainting all the time talking about such crap. John, tell me if I'm wrong. Is there an election on the horizon?
Oh, well, obviously they've come out with the frankincense and myrrh and trying to woo us all over.
It's incredible. Over 10 years.
Oh, unbelievable. I think I'll run down to the local Ford shop and I might buy a few cars and tell them, look, I'll pay it off over 10 years. So that should work, shouldn't it?
But first of all, I need you to apologise because they do know what they're doing. That's why they bought a really big truck that didn't fit into the fire station.
Yeah, and look, unfortunately, over 10 years, that the Charlton may not see their station for another 6, 7 or 8 years. So, I mean, that's the disappointing part about all this, that they don't click their fingers and the money's spent and the resources are there. It's still going to take time, unfortunately.
Incredible, isn't it? Now, I have to ask you, because I'm intrigued. And by the way, it's a family show. What's a pumper?
Yeah, well, the pumper pumps a lot more water a lot quicker, and it's just a better appliance, more so used for transfer of water and out of hydrants and stuff like that. So,
how important are they in fires?
They're generally used more so in around cities and stuff like that, where you've got bulk water supply. So we can use them to transfer water quicker. The tankers will keep the water up to the pumper and then they can transfer it a lot quicker. So that's generally how we use it out in the rural areas where we can.
I think you mentioned at one stage, one of our conversations, which we weren't taken off the air or sued by anyone. I think you mentioned that that your trucks, some of them, in the 90s.
Yes. So I think we've actually got one at there's 5 trucks. I'm just looking at the chart here now. 5 trucks that are 1989. So, yeah.
Incredible.
So we've got actually, while we've got the chart in front of me, there's 48 trucks that are not, this is primary tankers, not brigade-owned tankers. They're generally replaced at the 20-year mark, so that's the ones that brigades have to raise a lot of the funds themselves. But of 1991 tankers that are still operational, there's 48 in the fleet, and in 2024, 34 came into the fleet. So there's actually more tankers that are of primary brigade or primary tankers. There's 14 more tankers that are 1991 as opposed to last year's model. So
incredible. I mean, it's I suppose part of your advertising or marketing or recruitment campaign could be join the CFA and drive something really old.
Yeah, well, we've got heritage plates on most of our tankers, so
Really?
we get cheap rego.
Oh, dear. I mean, surely the government would be embarrassed, but and as he's just dropped out there, so what I'll do is I'll push that button and I'll keep talking until he comes back, because think about it. The heritage plates are on these fire tankers. It's incredible, John. We're going to bring you back again. You disappeared. I wasn't sure what was happening.
Oh, sorry, I'm on the phone and people were trying to ring me, so sorry about that.
Tell them to go away.
Yeah, I did. Quickly.
Oh, very well. But your trucks, though, and being serious, if you were after people to join the CFA, and you, just think of the insurance. Am I safe? Well, I don't know about that because you're not. Because they.
Look, it's just mayhem, and this is why our volunteer retention and recruitment is just really suffers. not only are we asking people to go out and fight fires in horrendous conditions, and if you're, according to climate change, these fires are getting worse and worse every year. So we're asking people to put their lives even more on the risk, and we're doing so in unsafe tankers that haven't got the latest mod cons that everyone expects in safety industry like we are now.
What about other equipment? I mean, because put it this way: if I was a firey with you guys, and I was on a truck that was commissioned in 1989, let me tell you, I would not be wearing those big boots. I'd have sneakers on that could run really quickly.
Yeah, look, it's just ludicrous. Why should we have to put up? Why should we have people on the back of the trucks when if there's a burnover situation or a dangerous situation that they've actually got to stop the truck, they've got to get off, walk around, and hop in the cab. And if there's already three people in the cab, they've got to brave the conditions on the back themselves. So it's just not on.
Will this affect your numbers? Because it's obvious the government doesn't really care a whole lot about it. Given that big $100 million over 10 years. I mean, perhaps what you could do is ask Jacinta to pop down to the CFMEU and ask if she could have a little bit back. Out of 30 billion, maybe a little. Just help us out with a few trucks so we don't burn to death.
Well, we'd probably just be able to sit down at the trough and ask for some scraps as they're feeding and gorging themselves on the 15 billion. So look, it's ludicrous the way that our state looks after our firefighters, and that's volunteer and career firefighters. We're both in this together, and we're both struggling together.
What's the Victorian fleet like compared to other states?
Well, our fleet's getting replaced at a lesser rate. A lot of the other ones are, they don't have an average age of what we do, so their tankers are getting replaced. The companies that actually do the bodies are putting them on. It's just saying that the other states are building tankers at a lot larger rate than what the Victorian government's doing it. So it's maybe we need to move to another state so we can actually drive a decent tanker.
Queensland, by the way, would like to see you here, bro. Could we got pineapples, bananas, beaches, Botox bottles, and everything.
Maybe we could throw a few bananas at the fire when they come down here. So
throw a banana on the barbie. I like that one. Just thinking because the Victorian government was very excited to take $3 billion from the emergency services with the emergency services tax. I mean, that's a fair chunk. Do you think perhaps they could have allocated a little more to you guys? Because being serious, it's putting your lives in danger.
Look, our figures we've got is over 3 years. It's 5.4 billion. I think your figures were over 2. So when you look at it, they're giving us an extra $10 million a year, and inflation's going to swallow that up. And this is just political spin, because at the end of the day, we're right in the middle of a damaging public inquiry that's really showing the government up for the disrespect that they have for the firefighters, as I said, career and volunteer. So, it's just, and with an election around the corner, it just smacks of political spin. They're just trying to shut us up and make us go away. Well, It ain't working, and it's beauty that the media have actually jumped straight on this and called them out.
Do you think the public understand, I mean, not the bushies, but the people in the cap cities and major markets, and not just Victoria, right around Australia, they're pretty ignorant when it comes to the crises on the land. As long as they have something in the supermarket, it's, she'll be right, mate. Do you think they understand that we actually do need to look after the CFA?
I probably don't, and I don't think they quite fully grasp. And this is not just the CFA. This is our communities out in the bush as well. Our farmers are really struggling through other things as well. So I don't think they fully understand. I think they get the picture a little bit. And this government's just come out with this political spin saying we're giving them 365 million over the two agencies, and 145 for us. And then everyone just thinks, that's solved the problem. What are the firefighters whinging about? Well, when you break it down, like I said, it's 20 tankers. And if you take inflation, next year that's 19 tankers, that's 18 tankers, and that's 17 tankers the years after that. Well, we need conservatively 150 tankers per year just to catch up and bring our oldest fleet back to the 20-year mark where it should be. So, we're looking at that ratio for 7 years, and then it's management levels from then on. So, 20 tankers is nowhere near the ratio that it needs to be at. It's nowhere near 150. So it's a joke, really.
I suppose the way to get around this is with a new government. What's your thoughts on Jess Wilson and her mob?
Yeah, look, our conversations have been respectful at the moment. I think she's definitely trying her best, but it's the biggest problem is going to be what can they do and how much this government now has hamstrung them. And look, I don't know how they're going to make it work. They're going to have to make it work because we're not going to be sitting on our hands here. When they get in, and they need to start putting out some policies. Really, like they've been pretty slack on that. How are they going to solve these issues? But they need to put those policies out. But it's just we need to see what the opposition have got, and then what other parties have got as well. Because it's not an automatic given that we're going to get out the other end what we need. And the whole of the community, everybody, that's all Victorians, either directly or indirectly, are paying for this fire services levy, and think they're supporting our firefighters and our other emergency services workers. But that money's not getting passed on. $5.4 billion over 3 years. It's not getting where it should be. And and the Liberal government need to tell us how they're going to do it.
They do, and I don't think they will. I think it's going to be. I mean, I don't think they'll get in, by the way, and that's saying something after what Jacinta Allen has done to Victoria. But if you look at the Bush, they wouldn't get anywhere near a government. But two different markets. One's a Bush. You can do a little more, be a little harsher, don't give a shit sort of thing. And then you got the major markets where you need to show that you're saving the planet. And that's part of the, if you see the farmers, and I'll go into this once we finish this, the farmers around Victoria, government is just acting like a communist state. We're going to come in and we're going to do what we like to your land, and you have got no rights. And I think, and I know you have to be a little bit careful because of your position as the El Presidente and singing superstar, but you have to, but we have to be wary of the people on the land because they actually do have the power. No food, no resources, and you find the major markets will stop. So I think government needs to take a little more care with the farmers. And I'll play a clip shortly. You might want to hang around and watch it because what they were doing, this is, I think, James Burke, and it's incredible. The audacity of government, and I think the same thing with the CFA. You guys you're looking after the bush. You're looking after people, their homes, their livelihoods, their lives, all that sort of stuff. Putting yours at risk. Surely to goodness the government can pull its finger out and look after you and give you something that's not a heritage listed truck.
Oh, look, I can't understand why they're treating people in the rural community. And look, most of our volunteers are, well, not most, probably 50% of them are either off the land or were on the land. So, when most of your volunteer force is farmer orientated or in the farming community and directly rely on farming, it's just sad to see that the way the government is actually treating everybody. And I think they've lost their way. And part of what we need to do is, as a group, and what we're trying to do is educate the people in the city that what's happening is not right, and they're paying for it, and they're not getting services delivered. And that's the service that's in the rural areas, but it's also a service that's in the metropolitan areas as well. FRV are not getting what they should be getting, and those people are going to find out when a fire is in their backyard. That's when they're going to realise, and it's too late then. So they need to step up now, and our job is to educate them, but we need the people to stand with us as well.
It's very serious. Maybe you should show them some video. I'm sure you have. When I was with the Army Reserve, I was supposed to go into the Duntroon. I decided not to. But the Army Reserve, and they're teaching us, of what bombs can do, and some of the graphics were terrible. You would have seen similar images, if not in your own lifetime, but at least video. And fires, you do not want to get burnt. You do not want it anywhere near you. And what you need is a good firefighting force. And at the moment, you got one leg free and the rest of you is tied down because of a very ineffective, corrupt government. And I feel sorry for you. And I think you're doing a great job. Maybe the solution is for you to start promoting and getting off your backside, singing some more songs, and raising money that way. I mean, another what's his name? Iglesias. We're going to have John Iglesias.
I've got a couple more out. So there's one just about came out in the Angels mould. So I think you'll probably guess where that one's coming, or where that one leads to. So yeah.
Oh, see, what you need to do though is give me permission to play it, because if I don't get permission, they write to me and say, you've played a song that's copywritten, and I can't do much about it. So give me permission and we'll play it. And
you can play as many as you like, Mike.
Well, and what you should do though, truly, is a way of raising money. Use that, because they are very good songs.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do. The problem is that I just can't get them on airplay. The local radios and that, for whatever reason, don't want to play them, whether they're too political or whatever. But that is part of it. But look, at the end of the day, I'm making probably $10 a month or $20 a month out of it. So I'm not going to support too many tankers at that rate. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe I need to be who's that famous painter that died, and then when he was dead, he became famous, and so maybe that's what'll happen to me songs. Maybe.
But see, that $10 per month, that's a little more than the government's paying. So you're doing a great job.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we could probably go to the bank and get a loan on that, I reckon.
Isn't it terrible? No, but I mean, all you want is AI to change the way you look. Because at the moment, you're looking like JJ Cale. He passed away, so that's not a good look. It's always a pleasure talking, and we will play that. And I think we should put our heads together and use this as a fundraising exercise and raise more, because I think and what you should be doing, here's something, go to your community stations. They will play it.
Yeah.
And make yourself available for an interview, talk about what it's for, and I bet you 10 cents to nothing that you'll get that exposure you need.
I think I need you as my manager, Mike, I think.
Oh, I got no time to scratch myself. Thanks. John Houston, if somebody wants to find out more about the CFA, to talk about the heritage-listed draft horses, how do they do that?
CFA Volunteers Group Facebook page. We're on TikTok as well and Instagram. So, follow us, jump in, or you can contact us. We do have a webpage as well. So, yeah, look us up, get on board, and, let's advocate for a better firefighting system for the whole of our state.